So then, welcome to the second module in our Ethereum subject of the course. In this module, we're going to be learning about smart contracts and NFTs. Now, you've probably heard of NFTs in the news lately. If you haven't, they've been very important in the news of crypto, as they have essentially allowed for crazy valuations of digital artwork by certain artists, okay, and memes have been selling like, just crazy amounts of money for digital assets like memes and pictures and videos. Even kind of LeBron James video clips have been selling for hundreds of thousands of dollars. So NFTs are really, really interesting. We're going to learn about them a little bit. But first, we're going to look at smart contracts. Now, briefly then, the contents of this course. This module, we're going to be looking at what a smart contract is, a simplified version of it, the benefits of smart contracts, how they're created, and smart contracts on the blockchain. Then we're going to dive into NFTs. We're going to look at how Ethereum connects to NFTs, what it actually is, some facts and frequently asked questions. Then we're going to look at where you can actually buy some NFTs. And briefly at the end, we're going to look at some coding standards for both smart contracts and things of that nature. So what is a smart contract? Well, a self-executing contract with set terms of an agreement between parties that is written in code. Okay, so this is the first time ever we can actually use a trust machine to essentially be the third party, or if you like, remove the third party from financial services. Okay, so we can actually create these contracts without other people being involved. It's just the but two parties. Okay, it's two individuals or two groups, for example. Okay, so we don't actually need someone to verify any kind of transaction. Someone makes the contract and someone will enter the contract. So then this code snippet is stored on the decentralized blockchain, rendering the contract immutable. Once the contract exists and is published, it will only be complete or removed, for example, if the contract is actually fulfilled and executed. And this allows the contract to be trackable and transparent as well. So when the outline terms of the contract are met, the code executes the contract that was written into its code. Now, one downside to this is the code doesn't, or the contract doesn't actually have any kind of emotion. So when life gets in the way of something and you may have entered a contract, you may be able to have some kind of leeway on the contract, okay, until circumstances change, and then you can fulfill the contract. Whereas with Ethereum smart contracts, it's either a yes or no execution. The terms have either been met, in which case it executes, or the terms have not been met, in which case it does nothing. So, a simplified version of this, an agreement between two people stored in computer code. It is facilitated by the blockchain technology. Okay, so all the pros that come with blockchain technology transfer over to the smart contracts. And the transaction executes when the conditions are met. So that is how you would explain a smart contract to someone who was asking. Now again, they may not understand how the computer code works, or what blockchain is, or how it knows when the conditions are met. But this is essentially how you're going to explain it to someone else. So then the benefits of smart contracts. They enable trusted transactions between anonymous parties without the need for central authority, legal systems, or enforcement. Okay, you can have alternate options written into the code. It doesn't have to be necessarily yes or no. You can have multiple conditions when something is met, but not to more than 50%, for example, of a target goal or fundraiser. Then the funds will be partially distributed or released. Okay, if something only happens 25% of the target in the contract, X will happen or Y will happen. Okay, so we can literally customize these however we want to. It's code, so we can have a lot of leeway with the amount of options and the amount of conditions within a contract. Okay. So then, smart contracts and the blockchain. Smart contracts have evolved the utility of the blockchain technology and allow for a multitude of new real-world applications. So smart contracts are essentially connected to the blockchain. And again, blockchain was initially created just for payments, okay, for Bitcoin in particular. And now we've started to see how the blockchain can actually be utilized in new ways to benefit other industries. So then, how are smart contracts created? Well, they're developed using Ethereum's original coding language called Solidity. So smart contracts can be created and facilitated on multiple blockchains, not just Ethereum. So how smart contracts create tokens? Okay, so this is how you can create a token using Ethereum. So essentially, the Ethereum token is purchased and staked inside contracts like ERC20, and the ERC number there is coding standards. That allows the user to then, we're going to call it a white label, in air quotes, their tokens under a new name and list them on the exchange. Okay, so you can stake a whole bunch of money into Ethereum tokens, and then you can change the name essentially and publish that token onto the crypto market, okay, utilizing a smart contract. So that's a simplified version of how you can create a token using Ethereum. So you can copy the code of Bitcoin if you want to, or you can simply use Ethereum's pre-built services to actually create your own. So then, this graph you may be a little bit overwhelmed with, however it's relatively simple to understand. So this is how to visualize what a smart contract looks like on the blockchain. So a user starts a transaction, okay, invoking a contract function from an account containing some ether. Okay, so that contacts the EVM, which is the Ethereum virtual machine. Okay, that's built onto the side of its blockchain. The contract then reads and writes its state from the blockchain. And while a contract function is executing, it might call external contract functions that get executed on the Ethereum virtual machine. Okay, so essentially this machine is doing all of the heavy lifting, not the blockchain. Okay, and this is what Ethereum is actually working on. It's developing not only its blockchain, but its EVM, its virtual machine. Okay, it is a company. They are doing multiple things at once. It's not just a blockchain like Bitcoin, for example. And then the transactional costs from the computational resources used by the EVM or the node on the network is then billed to the user, essentially in gas fees converted to ether. So that is essentially smart contracts, an overview of smart contracts and all the elements of smart contracts done. Hopefully we now have a better understanding of what they do and the purpose that they are created for. So then Ethereum NFTs. Now what is an NFT? Well, it's a non-fungible token. Okay, funny word there. So fungible, if you remember back to Bitcoin, fungible is one of Bitcoin's monetary properties because it's interchangeable. So essentially you can buy a Bitcoin and you can sell it, and then you can buy another Bitcoin, and it doesn't necessarily have to be the same coin, okay? Because it's interchangeable, it essentially doesn't matter what coin you have, the value stays the same. Now, non-fungible means it does matter what coin or token you have. Okay, so a non-fungible token would represent, or would best represent, something like a piece of artwork or a meme, for example, or a video online. And that's why these non-fungible tokens are used to represent essentially one-off pieces of artwork and digital art. And it's done by essentially, let's call it a signature. Okay, a special signature is assigned to the token, and that means the token cannot be duplicated or anything else. Okay, if you own that specific token, you own the asset that is connected to it. So NFTs are a crypto asset that is securely stored on the Ethereum blockchain. Okay, because Ethereum can store data, and so that is where these NFTs live. So then briefly, some facts about NFTs. They cannot be replaced. They cannot be fractionalized. Okay, so one token is one token, whereas with Bitcoin you can have up to 8 decimal places. With an NFT, you can't. It's simply the token, and that is the value. They can be given real-world attributes. They can represent people, for example, passports. Because of this non-fungibility, it's essentially like being a human being. Okay, there's only one of you. You are an individual, and that is the best way to look at what an NFT token is. It's an individual. It is one of its own. And they can be traded just as easily as other tokens. Okay, you can buy and sell these things on exchanges. We're going to look at an example of an exchange that sells them, or a marketplace, I should say. Okay, and you can just buy and sell these as you want. So then, NFTs and the Internet of Value. Now, little graph there, little image on screen just shows the progress of the internet. We've gone from a mainframe to a PC to the internet to social media, and now, yes, blockchain is a part of the progression and the evolution of the internet. Okay, it is the next step. Now, it does say 2010s because, well, blockchain was created in around 2009, 2010 for Bitcoin. Okay, so you may feel like it's a 2020 evolution, however, it has been around for some time at this point. So NFTs will play a huge role in supporting the growth of the Internet of Value and token economy. Again, remember the tokens that represent different attributes in the, social, cultural attributes, for example. Well, we can use NFTs in a similar way, and essentially we can give these NFTs, they don't necessarily have to be digital artwork, but they can represent anything in the real world. So real world objects can be given digital value, like I've just said, or simply a digital passport to allow the token economy to function as intended. So you can essentially list, for example, one element of an NFT may be a property, and what you can do is you can actually split that property up via the token, and you can have multiple investors invest in the token that represents the property. Okay, so there are different ways to actually implement these tokens or NFTs. So then, some frequently asked questions. can a digital NFT be duplicated? And the short answer is never. NFTs are stored on the blockchain, which is, remember, immutable. You cannot change anything on the blockchain without considerable brute force. Okay? You need a majority of the nodes on the network to actually comply almost simultaneously to actually make any kind of impact. And you need to do that for a very long time as well, because all the proof of works need to be redone. Remember, that's huge computational power, energy bills, things of that nature. It's just not going to happen. So, how do NFTs get their value? Well, if the NFT is published by a verified source, for example, a celebrity or a well-known artist, we can be assured of its value. Now, all we have to do is simply link the token that they've shared to the credible source, and forever the value of that token will be remembered. Okay? You can't create a duplicate with a different token and claim that it is a piece of artwork by Banksy. If Banksy has not published that NFT, guess what? You're never going to have any value within that token. So then, are NFTs a scam? To put it simply, it depends what you buy and who you buy it from. If you buy a Banksy NFT from someone down the road, the chances are it's a scam. Whereas if you buy it and it costs you a hell of a lot of money and you can verify that Banksy actually authorized that token, then you're in the money. So then, where can you buy NFTs? Well, Ecomi is currently the market leader, the best marketplace for NFTs. The app is called Vivi. Okay, it's essentially like a Netflix of NFTs. It's a marketplace of NFTs. You can go on there, scroll through, buy loads of different digital and real-world assets that you think might go up in value, because again, that is the whole idea, that these things are going to increase in value. Okay, we're giving value to things which have never had a digital value before. Okay, now you can either invest in the NFTs themselves or you can invest in the company, okay, with the OMI token. So Ecomi is a token listed on the marketplace, on the crypto market, and you can invest almost indirectly in NFTs by investing in their token. So then finally, we're just going to briefly touch on some coding standards of Ethereum. You may see these numbers knocking about if you do some research, or if new kind of improvements or upgrades come to Ethereum, you may see some numbers with ERC linked. And we need to know loosely what these numbers are. So these are Ethereum token and contract standards. Excuse the spelling mistake there. They are a list of functions and events that each contract must implement to respect the standard across the network. Okay, that's all they are. It's just a coding standard. So ERC20 is the token standard. ERC721 is the NFT standard, and ERC1155 is the new NFT standard. So we can see that these standards are improving, as you can see the numbers increasing there. So then, that is smart contracts and NFTs done, a whistle-stop tour of smart contracts and NFTs. Now we know what a smart contract is and how it operates on the blockchain and the Ethereum virtual machine, and now we know that NFTs are individual tokens that can never be duplicated, and they give real-world assets that have never been quantified before in terms of value. They give them value, okay, and allow them to be sold online by trustworthy code. So then, I will see you in the next module of the Ethereum subject.